last thing between you and lunch, huh? All right, so if I get the motion from you guys, you just want to move it along, I'll pay attention. Yeah, like Chike said, I head client services for all the Americas for Icon Mobile. We were actually founded in Germany in 2003, and so we do have a big team over there, but the United States office was founded in Santa Monica, California, which is a nice place to go visit, in 2006. So we've been in the business for a long time, just like Joe. So I really enjoyed listening to all the other speakers today, and you guys have heard Dr. Permanon talked about the case for mobile, because that's where users are going. I also love the Beth story that Andy talked about and the importance of focusing first on the customer. And Brian gave some really great questions to ask yourselves about what's mobile going to mean to my category and to my business. And then Joe showed a really smart test and learn plan and the importance of looking at KPIs. And those are all things that we would consult with clients about first before they ever get into the what. And so often, all these big brands and all the small business owners too are coming to us saying, I need an app. And they start there with thinking they need an app, but really that's not where they need to go. So I'm going to talk to you about 5 principles and 5 Ps of mobile. Maybe. Fortunately, Joe volunteered to act out anything that didn't come up on my slides, so where's that? There we go. All right, this is just a little bit about us and where our offices are with Icon Mobile. We also are part of the WPP network of agencies, so we have a lot of partners that we can bring in at any time, and some of this learning leverage is what they've been doing too. The obligatory client list, and I'm going to go broad, whereas Joe just went deep on a bunch of different looks at what's happening. This is awards we've won in the last 3 months. So in lots of different categories: brand destination, mobile marketing, apps, and products and services launches. So I'm really happy to be here today because this is where I live, and that's what it looked like when I left. It was 43 degrees and raining, so I'm super excited to be here. We have our offices a block from Pike Market, which is just a national treasure if you ever get to Seattle. And so I can look left when I walk out of the office and see Pike Market. If I look right toward my park garage a block away, there's an enormous iPad sign blocking the entire thing. I used to have this view from my park garage, but I don't anymore because there's just a huge banner that's about 6 stories tall and is talking about it coming to iPad. So I can't get away from mobile at any time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on stats because you've heard a lot of them. Mobile, I think, is going to be big one of these days. It's always the year of mobile, right? And as we look at how content is really changing the landscape, smartphones are enabling a lot more participation. So you have mobile web subscriptions that are outnumbering broadband 2 to 1. Half the world is going to, right now, is experiencing web on their mobile phones and not on their PCs. And that's only going to grow. iPad growth has had the strongest trajectory of any device ever launched, the fastest, and it's 3 times that of iPhone. It's with the new Mini, we'll see if it continues to outpace. And then you look at all the apps that are downloaded from the App Store, not quite that same number from Android's marketplace, and the iTunes Store is still managing to monetize apps a lot better. So once you are thinking about what kind of content to develop, we have 5 principles: relevant, real-time, personal, useful, and ubiquitous. I'm going to talk about relevant first. This is the old context. If you were doing digital marketing, this was your user. She was sitting there, stationary in a comfortable chair. She had maybe a fast connection, maybe not. I started with dial-up, AOL. And one browser, you always knew exactly how you were going to reach her. And then this is today. People are multitasking. They're doing cross screens. That looks like my son down there. He plays Xbox, text, and is on the PC all at the same time. So when we think about the context people are in, they are doing different things. Mobile is anything that is away from the PC. Mobile is not a device, it's not a technology. Mobile is what people are and what they're doing. So when we think about what kind of mobile program to deliver, you have all of these quantitative things on the right side. So screen size, on the left side, screen size, what the connectivity is, what the devices that are on, and what kind of input. Are they going to be doing touch input? Are they going to be doing swipe? Are they going to be doing gesture? And then you have qualitative. So what does that user want to accomplish? Are they going to be in a store, in a stadium, on a bus, on their couch while they're watching TV? And what kind of intention are you going to have? And how are you going to break through? And also, as Joe talked about, time of day is really important. So a good example that's happening in Puerto Rico right now, it's recently launched with Bacardi. They're really thinking about what kind of context are people going to be in, and how can we leverage that across the customer life cycle with us? So how do we get new, young people involved in the brand? And then also, how do we secure them and make them more loyal to the brand? So they launched this app, and you can see the little icons down there that just represent some of the things they're offering. So one is the hotspot. There's sort of like hotspots, almost like you're going to just have a jam and have everybody go there at once. So different hotspots can trend at different times, and it alerts people that that's where the party is. That's where they need to go if they're going to be part of the cool crowd. And then once you've had a little bit too much fun at that party, you can call a taxi, and it has an easy, just one-click button to call a taxi. Or if you've really had a lot of fun, you can look for a hotel. Or maybe if you met up with the right people. and then they also think about lifestyle things too. So there's a recipe of the week, and that's a reason to keep people coming back every time or every week to the app. Most apps never get opened again after the first one time. Almost 98% of them don't get opened again after 3 weeks. So you have to have a strategy to keep people coming back if you're going to do an app. Real time. So SMS was a great case study. This was one of the original mobile technologies, and it remains the most effective one today. You can see the stats there that 98% of all SMS messages are read, and 95% of them are opened within 3 minutes. It's a learned behavior, right? It's a BlackBerry buzz or it's the ding. You're going to check that message. So I don't know where they get this checks the phone 150 times a day. It's probably triple that for me. And for teenagers, it's probably a lot more than that. But we know that we can leverage that innate behavior that we've all learned since we had our phones on us to have trigger-based messaging, whether it's that they expect it 3 times a week or it's a certain deal that they're waiting for. If they know they're going to get something of value, or if they know if each time they make a purchase, it triggers some kind of follow-up. So back to what Andy was talking about, what's that post-purchase experience? It's going to break through on SMS. And you can see the Walgreens example here where they are moving most of their transactions over to mobile. So 40% of all prescription refills are now completed via mobile. And that gives people just a really easy way to come back to the store and pick it up or have it delivered. 2 million opt-ins for SMS alerts from Walgreens. And almost all of their photo orders are done via mobile. All right, next is personal. Does anybody have a phone case that looks like this? All blingy? Mine's broken. So mobile is the most personal thing there is. If you go up and ask somebody if you can hold their wallet, they might give you the wallet to hold. If you ask them if you can hold their phone, they're not so sure, especially if you start looking through their pictures, and they're really not so sure. So we trust a lot to our phones, and if that's the thing you're going to leave, if you're going to leave your wallet and keys at home and just take your mobile, well, you better have things that enable you to interact and purchase via that. So here's an example of a bunch of different mobile commerce type clients. There's Safeway, there's CVS, there's Starbucks. And all this just shows that people are willing to trust mobile and to give their information, especially in the 18 to 34 set. They're willing to put all their personal information in here in exchange for something of value. Now, people hear about e-commerce and walleting and they get scared, but even smaller brands, like there's a sandwich shop that just recently put NFC stickers on phones so that people could easily purchase and enter their loyalty program. So the cost of entering this technology is a lot lower, and you can think about how you could just maybe even do couponing in order to make commerce work for you. I think Andy talked about Starbucks earlier. One interesting thing about Starbucks is not just the distribution, I'm sorry, maybe that was Brian, not just the distribution, but people are willing to give Starbucks their money to hold for them. Starbucks is a bank now because people will load up these cards. So I might go and put $20 on my Starbucks card on my mobile. Starbucks holds that money now. And it's, so people are actually paying in advance for experience they haven't had yet, just because mobile is enabling them to do it and to top up. So they had an incredible number of top-ups. I think almost half of their users did top-ups. All right, I think this maybe is the most important one, useful. How do you make what you're delivering via mobile useful? So you have the spectrum of what brands are doing. Zippo is known for their lighters. I think we're very disappointed when people started holding up their cell phones in concerts. They decided they're going to make something that makes sure people understand that Zippo was the originator of that. They have that lighter experience, and it's just a very, very simple app and super popular, 6 million downloads of it. And then you go a little more across the spectrum to utility. North Face wants to be about the gear that protects you in all sorts of weather. So they sponsor this app that is a Snow Report and Resort Finder. And that's their trusted information that they're giving, something of value that they're providing to their customers or to anybody who wants to download the app. But it keeps the North Face brand in front of them when they're thinking about skiing in cold weather. And then, again, on the Starbucks, as far as really converting those folks that have cards to loyalty. They get points whenever they're using the card, and mobile just helps them do that, especially when it's combined with payments and Square. And finally, ubiquitous. So this is having your presence everywhere. I'm going to echo the fact about you need to have a mobile optimized site. That's probably the #1 thing to do if you're first getting into it. Because if you do any of these other programs, like a QR code or an SMS or anything, and send people to a non-mobile optimized site, you've just dropped that experience for them. And if they're dissatisfied, they're likely to go to a competitor. So enabling stuff to be understood everywhere, not just here, but everywhere. This is the new world, and these are all the screens that people are going to be having a contact with your brand or your business on. So this is an example from Korea. I don't know if anybody saw this in the trade magazines, but Tesco, which is a global retailer, Tesco is #2 in Korea, and they were a distant second. And the problem is that the local South Korean retailer had a bunch of stores. And they had, what people in Korea are likely to do is just go and buy what they need just for a couple of days at the local store. Tesco only had a few stores, and they're like, we're never going to get this distribution we need in order to compete or even be #1. So what they decided to do was put photos of their entire shelves displays in subway stations. So these are photos that have QR codes, and people can go up and take a picture with the QR code. It drops that thing into their shopping cart, and then they can just check out, and the groceries are delivered to their house. So they could be on the way to work waiting for the train or on the way back to work, and they can get their grocery shopping done, and it's delivered to their house, and they made it easy. So they shot up. They had like 173% of sales in the year over year. And now they're the #1 online retailer in South Korea, and they're very close to being #1 overall in bricks and mortar as well. And I'm assuming we're going to skip the video, or is it working? Why don't we?
South Korea is a unique market. Tesco has been evolving itself, adjusting to the local market. It even changed the name itself from Tesco to Home Plus. And at last, it grew to rank #2 in Korea. But Tesco had to overcome one obstacle, a fewer number of stores compared to the #1 company, Emart. Mission: could we become #1 without increasing the number of stores? We made an in-depth study into Koreans once more. Koreans are the second most hardworking people in the world. For them, grocery shopping once a week is a dreaded task. So we decided to approach these busy and tired people. Idea: let the store come to the people. We created virtual stores, hoping to blend into people's everyday lives. Our first try was subway stations. Although virtual, the displays were exactly the same as actual stores, from the display to the merchandise. Only one thing was different. You use smartphones to shop. Scan the QR code with your phone and the product automatically lands in your online cart. When the online purchase is done, it will be delivered to your door right after you get home. People can relax more after work and on weekends.
실제로 보면서 사니까 진짜 더 좋은 것 같아요. 편하기도 하고.
Result: people can shop at Tesco Home Plus wherever they go without having to visit the actual store. Moreover, we could change their waiting time to shopping time. After this campaign, online sales increased tremendously. Through this campaign, 10,287 consumers visited the online Home Plus mall using smartphones. The number of new registered members rose by 76%, and online sales increased 130%. Currently, Home Plus has become #1 in the online market and is a very close second offline.
So I think that's a super cool thing to consider for emerging markets, right? The way mobile is transforming out of home and print is pretty amazing, and you can use the technology that mobile has just with simple QR codes and a landing page to extend your brand presence. It can be anywhere now. And if you have commerce capabilities, it's pretty easy to plug into that now too. So I think this is a great example of how to be everywhere with your brand. The last thing on being everywhere is that it has to be device agnostic, and this is hard. HTML5 helps this. It's not fully there yet. But we know that people are spending a lot more minutes on the day already on mobile devices than they are on PCs. So you have to think about how your brand comes across in email, in mobile, and websites, and make sure that you're delivering the experience the customers are looking for. And you hear some questions about responsive design. Some people talk about a mobile-first strategy. I'm not going to talk about that today, but if you want to talk to me afterwards, I'm happy to. The answer is yes, all of it can work. It just depends on your business strategy. Does anybody know what this movie is? That's right. So you couldn't grow up in the 80s without hearing the song and seeing this movie. Does anybody remember what they told them about the streams? Never let them cross, right? And so the whole movie, they're like, oh, you cannot let the streams cross. And if you do, try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light. Well, I'm going to take the contrarian point of view, because with mobile, you do want to cross those streams. With all those 5 principles, the more principles you have, the better. And the more channels you can integrate mobile across in marketing and with your brand, the better. So from now on out, let the streams cross, because you know it worked out okay in Ghostbusters too. So I'm going to now go from the principles to the 5 Ps. And I started out my marketing career in Procter & Gamble. And Procter & Gamble was a great marketing MBA for figuring out how to bring your product to market, how to price it, how to promote it, the placement it received. And as time went on and social channels came on, participation became the 5th P. How do you get people to really advocate and amplify your marketing for you? So this is the old world, or maybe even the new world, because Tide's still on the shelves today. But there's a new way of thinking about the 5 Ps for mobile. So when we think about how you think about developing your mobile maturity, this is the chart we use. Baseline is just making sure it renders, making sure you have a mobile optimized site or mobile optimized emails or SMS is a good experience so that it looks good on all screens. And then you start thinking about engagement and loyalty and growth, and that can be with ads, it can be with database marketing, with QR codes, mobile coupons, and apps. From there, you can move on up into innovation as your core strategy. And this is really extending mobile into the product, your product and service offering becomes something different because of mobile. A great example of that is the Nike Plus and Nike Fuel, where it's now become a service that people are buying more products because of. And so when you think about how the 5 Ps layer onto that, it's a helpful way to come at it from your brand. Okay, where am I going to put my product? How are people going to see it and across what screens? And then how am I going to promote that? How am I going to play on price? Are people searching for my price and my competitor's price online? And how can I present information to them that helps me look better? How am I going to help people with social channels and the SoLoMo? And then what is the product strategy and how is mobile going to help me make a difference and differentiate in my category? Some quick examples of some of these. We work a lot with emerging markets, not only Caribbean, but also sub-Saharan Africa. And so this is something in Nigeria where Ford Focus has a challenge for anybody who buys a Focus, and then they send them SMSs of trivia or little challenges to do, and then they can compete to win a car or trips or other prizes. So this is an example of the landing sites and the SMS interface. That program has been so popular, they've just renewed it year after year. So you can think about a local program that gets extended due to mobile because SMS enables you to opt in a lot more users than you would normally be able to. The largest Ford dealership is the Al Jazeera dealership, and it's the largest in the world. But there are almost no roads to this dealership. So they could have a store locator on their site, but it doesn't really help people because they can't get there. So they operate almost entirely by SMS and web so that people can order the parts and service they need to, and it helps their fleet sales as well. In Puerto Rico, they're driving engagement via QR codes. This QR code launched last weekend in Dubai at an auto show, and then Puerto Rico's rolled out at the same time. And this is just a way for people to experience what it would be like to test drive or to see what the different features of the Explorer are without having to go into the dealership. But there's always a call to action to go to the dealership to purchase afterwards. It just helps them in that initial phase of trial. And this is an example of the site where you can see the menu in the middle offers them chances wherever the dealerships are. They can get an estimate or they can ask for a test drive. And then somebody will follow up with them. Another thought is, how do you deliver additional value? I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but we work with O2 on their app that's about it's a customer service app, so you can see on the left, it's just typical things about managing your account and seeing what your balance is and how many minutes you've used. But they took it beyond that and said, no, we really want people to use this and we want them to do transactions through us. So there are lots of offers in it, there are M coupons, and there's ratings and reviews, and they have direct connections to customer service, almost like a concierge on credit cards would provide, so that you can purchase through O2, and that of course helps their ARPU. Driving trial, I talked about this a little bit with Ford, but we know that there's the stats that everybody's using phones to do their research. And this holds true mostly on smartphones, but a lot of people are using feature phones to do research as well. And if you drive them to a site like you see here, it's not such a great experience. So I might go and search on a new phone to buy, and this happens to be the T-Mobile site for the phones that they carry. You can see that they have ratings and reviews and stuff, but it's not optimized, and you can't really get the information you want. When Windows Phone did their launch, the Windows Phone 7 launch, they decided to take it in a different direction. They are going to show versus tell. And so we built a demo for them that emulated the entire Windows Phone experience with all the tiles on the front. People could tap through and see how each of those tiles, each of those apps work for themselves. And then there was a call to action to buy the phone at the end. This was a web-based takeover that happened. It took over Android and iPhones if people clicked on an ad. So they actually took it to the competitor's platform and said, hey, try out this experience on your iPhone. We think you'll love it. Here are the results. 7 million demos. Purchase intent rose 32%. 18% lift in familiarity. It drove almost all of the traffic during the time that the media was running. And then you can see, though, the media was an important part of this. They didn't have to spend on media because there was 96% was driven through word of mouth, because people thought the demo was so cool that bloggers actually picked it up and talked about it, and then everybody went and tried it. So got a lot of comments on things like Engadget and CNET. So if you think about how it's applied to you, you may not be able to build a full emulator, but what can you do so people can experience your brand on phones that takes it out of their normal purchase cycle, something to break through? And then we've already talked about Nike Plus, so I'm not going to spend any more time on this, but one of the really interesting things is the social aspect of this. Not only is there a product aspect, but the reason this is so popular is I can actually compete with my sister in Denver on runtime. She always wins. But when you get your crowd involved and people know that you're exercising, there's kind of a commitment to it, and it makes you want to use it more often, and it makes you want to post your stats, like the gamification. So I think it's really important to think about, how does mobile help you do your product differently? This helps them sell shoes in the long run. So do we have the video? Awesome. All right, the last case is Mini Connected. And this is something that is just supposed to be inspirational. Not everybody's going to be able to customize a dashboard for Mini, but this is also what mobile is doing. Mobile isn't just the phone, it's taking your experience with you wherever you go.
Experience music and online connectivity in a totally new way with Mini Connected. Download the free app to your iPhone and attach it to a Mini equipped with the Mini Connected option to access an array of exciting features. With Google Send to Car, your Mini can receive navigation destinations from home and office computers using Google Maps. No need to print out directions. Simply send addresses to your Mini navigation system via Mini Connected and directly start the route guidance with just one press of a button. Enjoy thousands of internet radio stations with web radio. You can search, bookmark, and find similar stations using Mini Connected. Now you can stream web radio stations from all over the world through your iPhone's data connection. Mini Connected provides a unique integrated interface for Facebook. With a few turns of the joystick controller, you can safely scan posts and send updates of your Mini status. In just a click, you can send pre-composed updates that are modified in real time as your status changes. Similar to Facebook, you can preview and post prepared Twitter messages and hear current news from your favorite RSS feeds. The dynamic music feature generates a real-time audio experience in various themes and styles based on your driving behavior. Steering, speed, and turn signals all work together to conduct a dynamically changing soundtrack to your travels.
My soundtrack beats frantic.
The Mini Connected plug-in feature lets you experience the familiar look and feel of the iPod function from your iPhone on the in-car screen that's operated with the joystick controller. Now, when Apple adds new music features to the iPod Out interface, like they have with Genius Mixes, you won't have to wait years for future car models. You can have them immediately on release. Access to the most current music and information has never been easier, more convenient, and safe on the road. These are just a few of the innovative features that are now available with Mini Connected. The future of in-car infotainment is here, and it's available in all current Mini models, with even more features on the way.
All right, so like I said, not all of us are going to go out and do an integrated car with all the social apps. And this is somebody who's obviously very far up the mobile maturity model. But think about what you can do to leverage any of those principles, whether it's relevant, real-time, personal, useful, ubiquitous, and how you think differently about the 5 Ps of your marketing because of mobile. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll be around.